Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda, here of Reich, Defender of the Fatherland. A 2 vs 2 on Rhzhev. Thought it was some time we had a match on this map, so found this little replay. A 2 vs 2, hopefully sans interference from the SS Paranormal Division this time around. I had a stern talking to with them to keep their projects far away from the propaganda ministry. We'll have to see if it actually worked. But a 2 vs 2. In the north we shall be watching Layer72 and Ekkotek fighting for the Germans. For the, I don't know, 320th Infantry Division going up against Nodiggady and Rafael. Come on, how the hell am I supposed to say that? We'll just call him Rafael. Fighting for the Soviet Union and the 20th Guards Mechanized Corps, with Ekkotek having Jaeger Infantry, Spearhead Doctrine, and Joint Operations. Jaeger Infantry and its ambush camouflage, or for that matter Storm Doctrine's ambush camouflage, being the focus of this Sunday's challenge. By the way, for those that have forgotten, ambush camouflage, use it in some clever or fun or just really consistent manner. For example, for a lot of your infantry and heavy machine guns, and send it into Propagandacast at gmail.com. Mark it Sunday Ambush Challenge. Now then, moving on, Layer has Assault Support, Spearhead, and Jaeger Armor. Moving on to Rafael, we are seeing Conscript Support, Guards Rifle Combined Arms, and Shock Rifle, so plenty of infantry focused doctrines. Fun. And for Nodiggady, almost the same except Guard Motor Coordination Tactics. That's interesting, but popping back to Ekkotek, going pretty hard on the right hand side. The German player, Mr. Layer72, heading to the wall to the west. The centre being largely ignored, whereas the Soviets has already secured that. Also noting so far, few units here for Ekkotek, whereas we are seeing pretty much the same thing at the moment for Layer. And in fact, we're seeing Ekkotek is taking up pretty early on. I mean, he's only got 2 units out and he's already moving out to some pretty ballsy stuff. Pretty ballsy indeed. Slowly advancing, MD42 setting up to support. Grenadier securing the right-hand victory point. MD42 taking up position in the boathouse. What else I'm supposed to call it? And of course, Nodiggady quickly realizing what's going on here, ignoring this position state, going for the cutoff point. If he can't take the fuel point, he can at least deny it to the opponent, or at least deny the connection. So well played there by Nodiggady, quickly reassessing the situation and changing about here. Small engagement up here. And we're also noting pretty early on that Nodiggady and Rafael are in fact both building fuel caches, although this one is a bit too advanced for my taste. This would have been a bit better. But either way, we are clearly seeing here what the Soviets are intending, and that's some pretty aggressive early vehicular or taking hoo-ha, since they're both going for fuel caches. In fact, the fact that they're splitting up this role also means they're actually decent team players, and they've clearly got an idea, and it's not completely rubbish. Because again, they're both sharing the burden in that regard. Instead of one player just building a lot of them, and then of course the other one has to do all the fighting. So that's actually some clever thinking right there. Grenadiers and MG42, a second squad of Grenadiers, 3 squads of Grenadiers actually, my mistake. Whereas again, still not a lot, but we are seeing a lighter mechanized company up. He could go for Panther grenades, he could go for an anti-tank gun, but likely he might try and go for the scout car, the leichte Panzerspielwagen, whereas the right hand side is currently broken up. Grenadiers and MG42 advancing heroically. And here we go, scout car up for Rafael. Also, of course, very nice movement here. He's not going to hit the front of the opponent, because again, what have the Germans done? They've left the centre completely open. He takes advantage of this to actually flank their position with the scout car and the flamethrower. Well done there. Well realised. Good tactical move there from Rafael. Really good tactical move. That's what you call clever. Try to hit them in the rear, the exposed parts, not the front where they're going to be stronger. That's really how you put a good scout car to use, so well done there. I really have to commend that one. Though of course he might lose the scout car, he was still able to do some damage. And also able to actually draw away the Grenadiers and ultimately also force the MG42 to retreat. So ultimately, I mean, he's done quite well here. At this stage, I would suggest he actually popped up the combat engineers from the scout car and then let the scout car get away while the combat engineers covered it. But no, sadly not. Otherwise, I think the scout car could actually have made it. And hell, I mean, there might have been a chance he actually lost the entire combat engineer squad anyways. But scout car providing a bit of pressure up here. Conscripts moving ahead. You might in fact see here Ekkotek pulling back. He might be worried that Nodiggady has gone for anti-tank grenades. Popping over to Layer. No doctrine for either player as of yet. Also, he is teched up, but he's remaining a bit more in his initial tier. Though he's got a bit of resource now. In fact, the Pioneers might soon get about to doing something. Also noting a flamethrower up the Flammenwerfer. Conscripts here on the wrong side of the car. In fact, making them easy targets for the Grenadiers and Pioneers. And the squad moving up. Flank here. The Conscript squad could almost get wiped out. Scout car doing what they can there. Panzer Grenadiers moving up here to support the 20th Infantry Division. Probably a reconnaissance unit attached with the complement of Panzer Grenadiers they had. And usually a Panzer Grenadiers reconnaissance unit, or, well, Panzer divisions would have been equipped with, well, their own Panzer Grenadiers, basically. The Panzer Grenadiers themselves were not the scouts, whereas an infantry division, the infantry would have been. No, it's the scout cars who did most of the scouting. And the infantry attached, in those cases, were actually meant there to break a hole in the front lines and basically cover the reconnaissance units. So, fun little difference there. Pioneers finally pushed away, companies moving up. Having some progress here so far. The Soviets seem to be slowly pushed back, although with some nasty losses to the Germans. Also noting here, Ekkotek has upgraded his grenadiers for the light machine gun. Gutes Arbeit. Though a bit overextended at the moment. And we are already seeing a tank battalion command up for Nodiggady. Again, likely part of all of this. And we are seeing Ekkotek make good progress on the right-hand side. We are noting here one of them has gone for something, of course. He's gone for guards rifle combined. Well, he had both conscripts and guards rifles. The question is, what of the two have they actually gone? We can't actually determine that at the moment. And in that sense, I suppose it could actually be a pretty decent diversionary measure. In fact, if your opponent paid attention while loading up and know you have both of those doctrines available, then he might not be able to quite as easily gauge what it is you actually went for in the end. Should he only expect, well, basically lots of conscript supporting abilities, or should we also be expecting guards infantry? Mine went off there, killing some poor bastard. And sniper out for Rafael. And there we go, Nodiggady having rushed for a T-70 light tank. That's definitely going to be a pain for the Germans, since they're currently rather lacking. And we're also noting here a support armor core up, going up pretty quickly for Layer as well. Interesting, he actually tried to flank. I mean, I would have actually thought, and I'll just briefly pause to explain this, but I mean, he could, he knew where the sniper was. He was on the other side of the building, in which case the sniper, in fact, Nodiggady wouldn't have been able to see him. He could just have fired a rifle grenade over it. Again, true sight has its advantages in many ways. Anyways, T-70 moving up here, might roll up the right-hand side if things get a bit dangerous. But looks like the Grenadiers managed it nonetheless. Snipers dead. Shot. Dead on the dusty ground. Plenty of manpower being floated here by Layer. He might want to consider getting some more infantry. A pack up. No, what he can actually get that, so some more infantry would be the idea. Otherwise, he's getting awfully close to getting a Sturg, the Sturmgeschütz. And of course, I mean, they could also consider setting up some caches, either fuel or munitions. That would not be a bad idea. Or for that matter, he could actually go for assault support and call in an oval blitz to do it that way. MG42 being hunted down here. German front line is collapsing. In fact, there's nothing actually manning it at the moment, which is bad. Bunker going to be noting again, placing it between the two headquarters so it can support both of them. Good, good. Assault support going up, or support armor core going up for Ekkotek as well. And the scout car's been upgraded. And a good move here, or at least something that would be nice for the Soviets to do now, would actually be to mine the approaches here, here, and here. Since they actually hold this territory and they know the opponent must be some far away, so yes, there we go. Splendid. And Sturmgeschütz on the way for Layer72. Grenadiers leading the advance, lots of light machine guns, scout car providing support. Also note, yesterday Samoska, or Samoskaya, or whatever, went up. So of course sending in a replay for that map would be nice. Oh, scout car set off the mine. That was actually a bit interesting. But unfortunate for the Soviets. But still, you know, wouldn't mind some replays on that map. That good old remake of the classic Company Heroes in One map. Making good progress here. Little response from Ekkotek, although he's now setting up a fuel cache himself. About time. Grenadiers again leading the way. Lots of light machine guns. Conscript squad here trying to flank, but instead running into some very nasty troops. Lots of Panther, the scout and the Grenadiers. And squad wiped out. A bit unfortunate there. Grenadiers laying down an impressive volume of fire. And looks like the Germans might be realising it might be an idea to try and hit this force in the flank to cut off the retreat, so the snipers don't just escape. Grenadier squad here needs to retreat. Snipers trying to pull back. The Germans are moving in. Will they be able to catch the snipers team in time? At the same time, the T-70 is trying another flank as well, although might either be able to spot the pack and clear it out or get caught in the pack's fire.
What do you need?
But no, T-70 spotting in time and will be dealing it. On the other hand, the Stug has arrived. The Stug has arrived. Can the Stug move in quickly and actually knock it out? Popping over to Rafael, who has gone for conscript support. Close to being able to actually use rapid conscription, although he is incredibly low on a lot of units, and he's also noting here going for the Su-85.
The enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Scout car having well little luck actually dealing with the T-70's frontal armor. But there we go, submachine guns being equipped to the conscripts. Also might want to consider upgrading this Stug with the light machine gun. And a Stug out from Ekkotek as well. Actually, lots of Stugs. Wunderbar, wunderbar.
What do you have for us? We are taking losses.
Ooh, nice mortar right here. In fact, we might see Grenadier squad wiped out. Yes, indeed. Bad news there for the Germans. Bad news for Layer.
Casualties can now be replaced with penal.
And there we go. Rapid conscription is up. A good usage of it could really replenish the forces here of the Guards Mechanized Corps.
Well done, comrades. You need engineers.
Stug moving up there as well.
We have been spotted.
And companies running straight into some rather tense machine gun fire.
Yes, comrade.
Also noting now, when you actually use the focused sight, it actually moves slower now. So that's something to actually remember.
They're concentrating on our center. Squad at full strength.
Empty force on the retreat. Oh, can the Stug save the day? Guards him to moving up to the flank, and oh, Stug missed. Grenadiers nearby to support. Su-85 nowhere nearby, and this Stug is not doing much either. Buttoning up. Ooh, good job. Allowing the T-70 to escape, if that was the intention though. Su-85 trying to move up, although it might want to just consider removing focus sight since there's troop spotting for it, but no, apparently not. And this seems to be a bit of a leftover. People just, you know, did this because there was no harm in doing so. There was no actual trade-off, but now there is. Pull back the Stug here, Ekkotek, pull back. And this one should have been pulled back since there's nothing covering it at all. Tanks moving up, a T-34 included. Pull back the Stug. You should always try and keep it at some distance. And of course with something to support. Again, the Stug is a support piece of armor and assault against assault gun meant supporting infantry in their advances, which rather means it works together with other things. It's not a tank. That was a bit of a mistake here that Ekkotek committed, which did allow the Stug to quickly get overwhelmed without much chance. Scout car moving up with its auto cannon, but taking severe fire from Soviet guns, and there we go, wiped out. Ekkotek suffering heavy losses to his vehicle pool. And meanwhile, some progress being made by Layer72 on the west flank. Interesting enough, the right flank has been largely untouched even by the Soviets. Anti-tank grenade connects with the Stug, damaging the engine. Still might consider light machine guns to sort of increase firepower. Conscripts moving ahead. Rapid conscription, again, should be something you should eventually consider when launching an assault. And there we go, conscript squad wiped out. Another Stug arriving for Layer. Well done, that is good. Stug generally work better in larger groups. In fact, they were meant to not be used singularly, but, you know, operating in larger units. And a fun fact, the Stug initially actually was a part of the artillery. In fact, it was largely also throughout the war. It was just, it was also handed out to other units as well. Came under different jurisdictions, but it was the artillery part of the Wehrmacht which initially actually took on the Stug because the infantry didn't want it, the tanks guys didn't want it, or the armoured forces didn't want it, so ultimately the artillery said, you know, well, we'll go for it. And so they did. On the other hand, when the time then came and everybody realised, hey, the Stug is actually some pretty awesome stuff, you know. The artillery didn't want to give it up because it was also a chance for their men to actually get some medals they normally wouldn't be able to get up because again it was some frontline stuff. Which was a part of the problems that Guderian actually had with it, which also meant that pretty much anything else that looked like a Stug was designated a tank destroyer so it didn't fall into under the artillery. Very fun little fact there. Other Stug not moving. Ooh, Guards infantry stole it, the bastards. Panther has in the T-34, S-35 providing support, T-70 as well, field gun up. In the meanwhile though, while they're utterly occupied with the left side play, Ekkotek's moving up again, but keep the Stug behind things, keep the Stug behind. It's not a tank, it's an assault gun. It's meant to support an advance or support the defense, it's not meant to lead it. Well, but there we go, S-35 down. Might even be able to get that T-34. Another S-35 arrives, and Rafael really needs to sort of get out of that sort of pit he's managed to take his head into, where, you know, keeps just auto-using that ability. Stug needs to be careful, field gun moving up, S-35 also moving up. And Stug down, what a shame, what a shame. Still I managed to do something with it. But again, basically anything that looked like a Stug was pretty much designated as a tank destroyer. Otherwise, I mean, that means the Panther 4, which actually in part of its technical name actually had Sturmgeschütz in it, but also the Hetzer in fact. Basically the Germans weren't, you know, really interested in only having things that could destroy tanks. They wanted something more all-rounded, and the Stug really represented that. And anything that was similar to that was of course also used like it. So I mean, it is a common mistake for some, you know, to just think it's a tank destroyer, but again, it's not. It's an assault gun. It had a much deeper role than that. Blowing up tanks is merely part of the assault gun role. It was in fact envisioned, in fact, even initially by Manstein, who was part of the group that created it, when it had the short velocity gun or low velocity gun. In fact, if that wasn't an intention, in fact, later variants of the Stug would not have received even more machine guns. In fact, they did. Had they simply been meant for destroying tanks, they'd never even received machine guns in the first place. So there are some things there to consider. Heavy Panzer Corps going up for Layer. Looks like he might be deciding to give up on the Stugs. A shame. Shame, but I suppose that's his prerogative. And we also know here Guards rifles, in fact, both of them gone for the infantry doctrines. Both using lots of submachine guns, one of course Guards infantry. Question is, will he actually use more beyond that? And sadly, it doesn't really look like Rafael has used rapid conscription, which is a definite shame. German players at the moment are having a nice chunk of the map. It's actually time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation, Germans are having a fun time, although they are suffering some losses. The thing is with the Russians, they are not quite applying as much pressure as they can. They're playing a bit defensively at times, and they're not, you know, for example, mining as heavily as they can either. They're not making it difficult for the Germans to move forwards. And again, that's always something you should want to do, because the Germans generally are low on numbers and such, and that means basically their attacks can run out much quicker out of steam than, for example, a Soviet assault. For example, if a German squad hits a mine, there's a high possibility it's going to be down to one man. A Soviet squad, on the other hand, you know, might lose one man, particularly considering the difference in mines. I mean, of course, if you decide to run for an S-field, minefield, right away, of course, you're going to have it crippled, but on the other hand, if you spot it quickly enough, the casualties are going to be much lower. Things like that, for example, also doing a second fuel cache. In fact, lots of fuel caches up for the Germans, so both sides having plenty of those now. Still, Soviets need to reorganize, they need to sort of do things a bit more sensibly. I mean, part of the problem is also they're basically trying to, again, both of them are trying to sort of rush to point to point to point, the same point, which rather means they're not quite holding the other map. And also means the Germans seem to be playing around a bit with them. One player baits them in, the other then pushes forwards, takes some ground. Then they shift to the other one, who then, you know, does that again, and then the other moves forward. So in that sense, there's some alternating play. God damn it. Sorry about that. But alternating play between the two German players. Of course, they tend to suffer a bit higher losses. On the other hand, they are not completely rubbish either, so they tend to sort of pull back in good time. And of course, when the other's in danger, the other hits the Soviet force in the rear, which we've already seen sometimes. So there's some nice, how should one put it, you know, baiting strategies going on here, if that's actually what's going on, or if it's just, you know, sheer luck from the German players. And so far the Soviet players are doing it nicely, and of course it doesn't help that Rafael is perhaps not playing as sensibly with his Su-85 as he possibly could. And the fact is that both of the players are perhaps also not getting the most out of their doctrines as of yet, and I would certainly have hoped one of them at the very least would have gotten for something for a bit more armoured, instead of some doctrines that actually have some heavy overlap. Of course, we'll have to see how they do, and I would also suggest that Nodiggady might get some more tanks, but that of course also means more fuel caches, and again, they'll place this one in a bit more exposed position rather than say here. So of course there are some issues, and of course the Germans are quite good at hitting the fuel points as well and actually holding them. Partly because again the Soviets seem to be more focused on the west than the right, or the east, so also some things to consider. For the Germans, I mean, you know, stop using your Stugs like tanks. They're Stugs. Use them to support your infantry or support other armour. They're basically the Volksgrenadiers of armour. Good if working together with other units, not so good when they have to stand on their own. But again, well used, the Stug is a powerful weapon. Well used, basically. Which again is always a tricky thing to come down. It comes down to. And of course you should consider playing with light machine guns. In particular, if it gets two Stugs up, I mean again they can lay down some decent firepower. Otherwise, in terms of doctrines, I mean, what have they actually gone for? I don't think I've noticed it. We're seeing combined arms here, and no doctrine as of yet for him as well. He really needs to do something about that as well, Mr. Layer. But basically, I think the Germans should just keep on doing it. I also think they should actually try and mine some things a bit, so when the Soviets actually try and sort of break through, they actually run into another layer of problems, which actually causes them some severe casualties. And in fact, I would also like to see some Soviet mines going up from when they actually take some ground, which again has been one of their major lackings throughout the fight. Pretty much we only saw one mine go down ever, which is not really acceptable, I would argue. And of course, with the appearance of a heavy Panzer Corps, I mean, there's definitely some possibility of actually applying some really serious pressure, and I'd probably suggest a few Panthers, perhaps supported by Sturmpanzer IV, to really apply some hurt to the infantry as well. Of course, the Soviets also have a chance here with the Sturmovik attack. If they can land it in the correct place, they can actually do some serious damage. Of course, another idea might be basically to set up that heavy howitzer there and begin firing away at the German position, try to catch them in their assaults and basically cause them some serious harm and injury. But let's return to the fight. Let's see how this progresses.
Awaiting command. Da, da.
Point being secured. Pioneer standing about doing nothing. Assault towards the west. T-70 light tanks leading the way. One actually close to Veteran T2. Snipers and conscripts following up. There we go. Ultimating up the west. Stu providing nice fire support. Grenadiers leading the way. Again, having upgraded plenty of Grenadiers with light machine guns, to really gets a nice flexible force with them. Although, of course, it's not going to be, you know, just a freely moving force, but it's one where you could sort of move from point to point and lay down some serious firepower. T-34 doing what it can. Stu, though, needs to hunt it down and deal with it. Although, oh, nice, their flank is a bit exposed. The conscript take advantage of it. Oorah in, and anti-tank grenade on the Stug, but there's nothing to support it. Although we do see a field gun moving up, and meanwhile on the right-hand side, T-70 supported by the H-85. Again, no real march towards the right-hand side, and for example, if you can get this T-70 repaired, I mean, if we just use this one, he could rush up and take the points even with the secure mode on. Stug pulling back, field gun up, but Grenadiers continue to hold on. In fact, they're Veteran C3, which usually means bad news for the enemy. And there we go. Sturmovik attack available. Combat Engineer squad is down. And a German howitzer is up. And another Stug here from Ekkotek. H85 switching over to the left-hand side. Again, it's not really well handled there by Rafael. And this Stug is in a bit of trouble. It needs support. Schnell, schnell. Pack could be recruited. And this force is actually doing nothing. It actually probably should be trying to apply some further pressure, and that does seem to be a problem with the Soviets again there. Some part again, you know, only move as far as this point, don't try to pressure the opponent otherwise. Which again is not necessarily always the best strategy, as again it gives them time to regroup, get a breather and get back into the fight instead of, you know, applying some pressure, causing them to get frustrated and all that. Again, there's a fuel cache right here, for example, and of course an opportunity for mining as well eventually. H85 in trouble. We are seeing incendiary. No, he's calling in a Sturmovik attack on this. And there we go. Sturmovik clears out the pack. But we're also seeing a Stug coming in from the other side, and we're also seeing artillery going in on the crossing. Not a bad spot. And there we go. Direct hit from the Leiter Feldhaubitze, knocking it out. And now the T-34 is moving forward, but I would say at this stage it's too late. T-70C is not doing anything. Still no attempt at the self-repairs, for example. Victory point being taken back there. And Stug gets a T-34. Not really a good assault there from the Soviets. Not really coordinated, sadly.
Supply sector under attack. We are down to 100.
On the other hand, we're actually seeing the Germans playing aggressively. I mean, even with a single squad of pioneers, they're just slowly moving forward. If there's no response, great, let's take some points. And that sense, again, you know, aggressive play can't get you much farther, because usually it's all about also testing your opponent's defenses, figuring out what's actually there, and usually you'll find that, oh well, occasionally, I'm not sure if 100 always, but usually, I mean, I have to be careful about saying that kind of thing, but still, you'll usually find some sort of gap. If you play it like that, you usually find some weakness you can take advantage of, and you usually find it's not completely guarded every way. And that's usually what it's all about. That's usually what leads to victory. It's not necessarily about finding the great, you know, being the great attack. It's all about hitting the right spots, which were left unguarded, and which you can then take advantage of. Ooh, Stug did quite nicely there. Looks like an anti-tank grenade went off, but of course now there's a chance it actually deflects. Looks like that's what happened here. Panther not really doing much. Field gun and a single squad of conscripts. No prepared positions at all. No sandbags, for example, or hit the dirt. Bit of a shame there. And we're seeing a Maxim moving up to support this. That's going to need to be quick. T-70 still not seeing repairs, so really need to do something about that. Also time to pop over to Ekkotek, who's getting a Panther 4 himself. And some nice artillery to cover the victory point here. In the meanwhile, Layer72 is leading the assault in the west. Having no issues there. Still, also no field officer here from Ekkotek. I'm a bit disappointed. Lots of artillery now, in fact, going down here. Fire of all kinds. And a sniper from Ekkotek. Wondrous. Situation not looking good in the west for the Russians. Panther 4 moving up, and we're seeing a Soviet 152mm howitzer up. Though so far no luck in disabling the enemy's positions.
MG42 turret is ready. Panzer 4 ready.
Also, fun fact about the Stugs, the Soviets themselves were also incredibly impressed by it. Which is also likely what led to this design of the Sh-85, because that's pretty much the same, you know, concept, a fixed style weapon, you know, no turrets and whatnot. In fact, they even tried to make a copy of the Stug by using, well, basically captured Panther 3s and then otherwise guns they'd taken from T-34s and create a sort of Stug-like weapon. So fun fact there as well. T-70 is going to hit the flank. Good, good, but they might get more than they bargained for when they encountered the Panzerkampfwagen 5. Incendio Tech going to hit and strike the weak point. But we also noting here that the field gun has also been secured by the Germans, ready to support the position as well. And what is this? Another H-85 out from Rafael. And here we go, Rafael committing a mistake, moving in the H-85 like it's a tank, with the focus sight ability instead resulting in a damaged engine, making an easy target for the field gun if it moves up, or for that matter the Panther if it just decides to flank. Ekkotek seems to be assembling for an assault, and there we go, Panther moving ahead, taking the wreck hit from the H-35 anti-tank grenade, but thankfully the frontal armor of the Panther keeps it safe. 80mm of sloped Kruppstahl. Although H-35 still doing some damage, but there we go, Panther's flanked, but another H-85 is there. T-70's moving in. Oh dear, Panther might be in a bit of trouble. But weaving about, and there we go, Panther 4 to the rescue. On the other hand, less of a good idea there from Layer72 to expose the rear armor of the Panther to the T-70s. Stug moving up as well. T-70 down, although Panther 4 likely to go down soon as well. Veterans you want here for the Stug. He could try and use target weak point now on the H-85 and that way stun it for a bit, giving them the chance to knock it out. But no, he's actually pulling back. Target weak point is a powerful ability in the hands of the right man. In particular, since this is also a shot that actually always penetrates. Which also pretty much means despite whatever sort of armor target you're going up against, you're always going to get a hit, even for example if there's an IS-2, which is currently one of the most armored things in the game for the Germans to face. So a little fun fact there.
Our bunker can now accommodate an MG-42. Keep it short. The bunker has been improved.
And it looks like munitions have been expended. On the other hand, looks like the S-35 is actually trying to do with the Panther 4. It does get it! Panther 4 though only gets abandoned in the meanwhile. And there we go, Veteran 2 for the Stug. Popping over to Layer72. Nasty artillery work there. Consequence to them. Oh, direct hit from the howitzer, kills both Pioneer Squads, blows up the Panther. Or Panther 4. What utter rubbish luck.
Ready for orders.
And a Panzerwerfer is up for Layer72 as well. Fun, fun. Desperate attacks towards victory points. As things are ticking down, we also hear that Nodiggady is digging in very heavily around the western victory point.
Our machine gun turret has been installed. Attack awaiting orders.
Grenadiers reporting.
Mines finally again. Looks like an attempt at counter-artillery. Panther's heading off.
Project complete.
And now I like to make a nice company. That's an interesting decision. He's still not gone for a doctrine though, which is really, really odd. Not a lot of points left. Panthers doing what they can against advancing Soviet hordes. The howitzer has been cleared out. It's not destroyed, but just decrewed. And there we go. Game over. A loss to the Soviet Union and the Mechanized Guard Corps employed here against the 320 Infanterie Division with Stug and Panzer support. It rather came down to some, well, reasonably clever maneuvers from the Germans again. You know, part one player baiting the both players, and both players allowing themselves to be baited. Then the other one pushed up and then sort of switched around like that. Another problem was that, again, the Soviets were a bit too passive compared to the Germans. Again, I mean, you usually want to be the most aggressive. You want to be the one pushing forwards the most. And usually that was the German ones, which generally tended to be the reason they had most of the map. Also, the Soviets, well, initially, nice pressure over here, but then they completely forgot about it, which was also a huge fumble from them, I would argue, since again it pretty much allowed the Germans then to focus everywhere else, which certainly also allowed them to focus their forces more coherently. Another problem was Rafael's insistence on only using focus fire for the H-85, which rather limited his mobility and also allowed it to not react so quickly to things, whereas it otherwise might be able to quickly move from one point to the other. And of course you might actually want to get more than one at a time. The fuel caches were nice. I also think a problem was they went for very similar doctrines, but neither player really got the most out of it, except I think it's Nodiggady with the howitzer, Stuka strike and all that. On the other hand, I think Rafael might have wanted to go for something that benefited him a bit more, something a bit more Rama oriented. I think if that happened, you know, they might have had a better chance as well. Instead, we saw some less than fully coherent strategies, I think, from the Soviet players as the game progressed, which rather hurt them. That, of course, combined with the severe lack of mining, despite at one several stages having some nice spots for mining, they didn't quite do it. The German players made their mistakes when it came to the Stugs, handling them like tanks half the time, which again is not really where they prosper. On the other hand, the Panthers were a nice move. I would also like to see some mines from the Germans, but at least, you know, they put in some more pressure when it came to just playing better. Layer, though, should have gone for a doctrine, and I would also like to see Ekkotek actually going for the artillery field officer. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not replay the video and provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.